right? At mile 4, there's a left-hand turn at an intersection. There'll be a cop there to make sure that there's no traffic coming, but they are open roads, so there will be cars around. You're going to take that left, and then it's a pretty flat, rolling hills type of situation until you get to mile 15 and a half, 15.6-ish. Okay? So for that first, from mile 4, when you take that left turn, all the way to mile 15 and a half or so, it's rolling hills. So my recommendation would be to focus on nutrition. Make sure you start getting your fluids in, eating your chews, having your goos, the whatever kind of honey stinger waffles or anything like that you like to enjoy while on the bike. Start getting yourself regimented for that. Ideally, you have a race plan that you'll be following. Those rolling hills are nice and fast. Okay, it's a little bit up, but it's still pretty much rolling. So you can get yourself into a rhythm, find a cadence that you like. If you have a power meter, dial yourself in, get yourself super aero, and just start cruising. Get the heart rate back under control because you'll have just exited the water, gone down the steep hill. Everyone's excited. We're now on the bike. Lots of people will go out too hard, too fast. Okay? Save your energy. The last 10 miles of this race is uphill, so we've got a lot to cover. Once you get to mile 15.6, you start climbing. Okay? In the middle of this 15.6 to 20.2-ish, we have the King of the Mountains climb. Now, the King of the Mountains climb is a steep, long climb that you will be timed. You'll see this huge flag that says King of the Mountains climb. There'll be a timer, so when your chip crosses that, you'll start the clock, and then when you get to the top of the hill, the clock will stop. At the end of the race, you'll be able to find out what your King of the Mountains time is. Now, as far as the King of the Mountains competition goes, personally, when I raced last year, I didn't go for the King of the Mountains. I did moderately well. I don't remember my exact place, but I just stayed within my watts that I was trying to hit, as opposed to zooming up the climb and then being burnt out for the rest of the race. Because when you finish this climb, you're 20 miles into a 56-mile ride with a half marathon at the end. So even though it's really exciting to go gung-ho for this King of the Mountains, it might not be in the best interest depending on what your goal of the day is. If you want to win the King of the Mountains climb, then by all means, go for it. Just know that at the end of the race, when you're on that last loop of the run, you might not have as much gas as you might have had you left out the King of the Mountains surge, right? Just something to think about. Now, I talked a little bit about nutrition and what you should do, keeping yourself in a rhythm for the first 20 miles or so. Personally, I'll be planning to finish a full bottle of my own nutrition, because at the top of the King of the Mountains climb at mile 20, there's an aid station. They'll have a spot for you to toss your bottle and a spot for you to grab a new bottle, all right? The race gives you Gatorade, so you'll be able to just take that, add it to your nutrition if you want to have a little bit more than just that, but you'll get a full bottle. It was Gatorade Endurance last year. I imagine it'll be Gatorade Endurance this year. So it's good stuff. It's the same stuff that I'll have in my bottles for the rest of the race anyway, whether it's from me or from the race. So it's really awesome that they're able to support us with great products. After you do the turnaround at the top of the King of the Mountain, you then go down that same hill. So you get that same from 20.2 down to 25 as a nice, okay, I just spent all this energy, I'm going to just take a deep breath, I'm going to get my heart rate back under control, but don't take your foot off the gas, right? You still want to keep progressing. So keep those watts up, keep that cadence nice and high, make sure you're in a good gear, and just settle yourself in, because now we've got a long rolling fast from the top of that King of the Mountain climb to about mile 38, believe it or not. So even though there's a lot of climbing throughout this entire course, there's also a lot of rolling fast flats that you're able to pick up a lot of time, and you can average much higher than you would imagine because you're not just going 10 miles an hour up a 10% grade, right? Stay smart, keep your rhythm though. Mile 20 to 38, rolling, flat, and fast, okay? Don't give up all your juice on that section. Make sure you stay within your own means, because mile 38 to mile 40, pretty good climb, right? Mile 42 to 44, is a climb up to the center of Bethlehem. Then we get a couple more rollers, and then we get from 46 to 56, all climbing. Okay, it's a gradual, I'll put the graph up there. It's a gradual climb all the way to the end. At mile 53, you're going to get off of the main road, turn onto a trailhead, It gets a little bit steeper. It's a walking bike trail. It's paved. And you'll go up that for the last 3-ish miles. And then you have a tiny little downhill across the bridge back into Echo Lake to transition area. Okay? So, like I said, that's a lot. You'll probably have to go to the bathroom over the course of the bike. You're going to take in hopefully at least 3 bottles of nutrition, depending on what the day looks like for temperature and what your normal strategy is. Make sure that you're getting in the right amount of fuel, because you've got 13.1 miles to run, and ideally you take in a lot of your nutrition on the bike. That way when you get to the run, you're fueled, you're ready to go. You can stop at your aid stations, but for the most part, you know that your body's ready from what you did on the bike. Keep it under control, have a great time, save some energy for the last 10 miles, because it is up. Like they say, it is the White Mountains Triathlon. It's extremely hard, but you're going to want to come back.